The galaxy was silent that night. The moons of Viridian 4 cast a pale, metallic light over the jagged cliffs that overlooked the Crimson Sea. It was here, in the isolation of the planet's far northern reaches, that the renowned warrior, Lyra Veylan, sat upon the cold rocks, her back pressed against the blackened cliff wall. Her armor, once gleaming and pristine, was scratched, dented, and scorched in places, a testament to the battles she had endured. Lyra was not an ordinary being. Half human, half synthetic, she was the pride of the Intergalactic Vanguard, trained to obliterate threats the likes of which most worlds could not even imagine. She had survived wars, assassinations, and betrayals, but tonight, she was broken. Literally. Her right arm was badly damaged, and streaks of plasma burns ran across her torso. The pain was unbearable, but more than that, there was a profound loneliness that gnawed at her. She had expected her comrades to arrive, the medics, the healers, but none had come. And in this sector, no help would be coming. Only one soul could reach her, a human. His name was Kael Drayden, a pilot who had been stationed at the orbital outpost near Viridian 4. Unlike the soldiers who surrounded her life with shields and weapons, Kael was fragile, vulnerable, but in that fragility, there was something Lyra could not ignore: honesty. When he arrived, the wind from the Crimson Sea whipped around him, carrying the scent of iron and salt. He didn't hesitate, didn't question. He simply knelt beside her. "I can help you," he said softly, his voice almost lost beneath the roar of the distant storm. Lyra's eyes narrowed. No one had ever dared to touch her wounds, to see the places where her body had been shattered and remade. The laws of her kind were clear. Weakness was to be hidden. Pain was private. Only solitude could contain it. But something about Kael, something utterly human, made her tremble. "I don't need your help," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Kael lifted his hands, careful to avoid the jagged metal shards embedded in her armor. "I don't want to fight. I just want to help you heal." And then, impossibly, she allowed it. The first touch was electric, sending shivers through her system. Kael's fingers traced the jagged edges of her burns and bruises, his palms warm against her cold, damaged skin. She had expected fear, disgust, maybe even pity, but his eyes held none of those things. There was only focus and an unspoken understanding. Lyra's mind wandered as he worked, memories flooding her in a torrent. The battles she had survived, the friends she had lost, the endless grind of duty. And in the midst of it all, she realized something she had never admitted, not even to herself. She was tired. Tired of being untouchable, invincible, and alone. Kael hummed softly as he worked, a strange human ritual of care that somehow made the pain more bearable. And then he paused. "You're stronger than I thought," he said. "But even the strongest need help." She wanted to protest, to remind him that no one had ever touched her wounds and survived the consequences. Her people considered such vulnerability dangerous, contagious even. But as she looked at him, his face lit by the red glow of the distant moons, she understood that this moment would change her forever. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you care?" Kael smiled faintly. "Because someone has to." For hours, he worked in silence, tending to wounds she had hidden from the galaxy. Each touch was a revelation. Each movement of his hands through torn armor and scorched skin unlocked a part of her she had long suppressed. The pain still existed, it was still real, but for the first time in decades, it felt like it could be endured. The sky above began to lighten as the two of them sat on the cliffs, exhausted, bodies aching, yet somehow alive in a way they hadn't been before. Lyra looked at Kael, studying him, trying to memorize every detail. "You know," she said finally, No one else could have done this. No one else would have survived. Kael shook his head. I didn't survive. I was here. That's the difference. Her lips curled into a ghost of a smile. Then you'll have to come with me. You'll have to face what comes next. Because once a human touches my wounds, there's no going back. He looked at her, realization dawning. You're serious. I've been serious my entire life, she said. I survived because I had to. But now, I think I want to survive for something else. Their journey back to the orbital station was perilous. Lyra's injury slowed them, and hostile drones patrolled the cliffs like vultures. Yet, Kael's presence gave her courage. For the first time, she didn't feel like a lone warrior. She felt connected. When they finally reached the station, her wounds were tended to properly, but the secret of their intimacy, the trust she had allowed, remained between them. Lyra knew that no one else could ever understand it. Her people would have considered it weakness, a betrayal even. But Kael had seen her for what she truly was, beyond the armor, beyond the power, beyond the fear. Days later, as she trained again, her strength returned faster than expected. But the memory of Kael's touch lingered, a quiet warmth beneath her skin that no weapon, no battle, could ever remove. She found herself seeking him out, watching him as he moved through the station with his human fragility, marveling at how much life a single person could contain. And then the real danger arrived. A fleet from the Dominion of Varkon appeared on the outer rim, their ships massive, their weapons capable of obliterating entire colonies. The vanguard scrambled to respond, and Lyra was called to the front lines. Kael insisted on accompanying her, despite the objections of her superiors. I can help, he said. I'll do whatever it takes. In the chaos of battle, Lyra realized that the connection between them had grown into something neither of them could deny. In the heat of combat, she protected him, and he protected her, moving as one, anticipating each other's needs. Their coordination was flawless, an unspoken language forged in the fire of survival. During the final assault on the Dominion flagship, Lyra was severely wounded again. Plasma scorched her side, and she fell onto the metallic deck, unable to rise. Kael rushed to her, and in that moment, nothing else existed. Hold on, he whispered. His hands moved over her injuries, careful and precise, just as he had on the cliffs of Viridian 4. I've got you. You'll survive. Lyra's vision blurred, but she focused on him. The secret they shared, the trust, the intimacy, gave her strength. She had let a human touch her wounds, a secret no one else knew, and now it was the thing that saved her. When the battle ended, the Dominion fleet destroyed, Lyra and Kael stood on the bridge of the flagship, surrounded by the remnants of the fight. She was battered, scarred, and yet alive. More alive than she had ever been. You were right, she said softly, leaning on him. Even the strongest need help. Kael smiled. And even the untouchable can choose who gets to touch them. Lyra looked out at the stars, the endless expanse of the galaxy stretching before them. She had survived countless battles, but this connection, this vulnerability, was something far more powerful than any weapon. She had let a human touch her wounds, and in doing so, she had discovered a strength that no enemy, no war, and no machine could ever take away. The secret they shared remained theirs alone, hidden from the rest of the galaxy. And as Lyra held Kael close, she realized that the galaxy would never see her the same way again, but she didn't care. Because some truths, the most important truths, were never meant for anyone else. And for the first time in her long, turbulent life, Lyra allowed herself to hope, not for victory, not for glory, but for something far rarer, a future with someone she could trust completely, someone who had seen her fragility and loved her anyway. The stars shone above them, indifferent yet magnificent, and in that light, Lyra understood that she had finally found her place, not in a battle, not in conquest, but in the quiet, unspoken bond that no one else would ever know. She had survived every war, every betrayal, every wound, but this secret would endure, eternal, like the stars themselves.